Good afternoon, rabbit lovers. Welcome to the Happy Harvest Homestead. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why I raise meat rabbits. The main reason we raise rabbits is in the name, meat rabbit. We raise rabbits to eat for meat. But a lot of the decisions we have made in how we raise our rabbits and how we feed them may seem counterproductive to our end goal if our goal is just to raise rabbits for meat. Instead of feeding only specially mixed pellets that are meant to give optimal nutrients for optimal growth to our rabbits, we don't feed any pellets. Instead, we feed just hay and greens and forage and food scraps and stuff like that. Instead of housing rabbits in cages where everything is easily controlled and any potential fights or illnesses or any possible bad thing is mitigated by separating rabbits and off of the ground, we choose to house our rabbits all together in a colony on the ground, where if you don't manage things exactly right, the risk for disease, illness, and parasites is much higher, and the risk of one rabbit attacking another rabbit's babies, or does abandoning their litter to nurse someone else's litter, or other potential problems are more likely. And instead of selectively breeding for the biggest, fastest growing, most meaty rabbits possible, we instead choose to breed, partially because of the way we house and feed our rabbits, we breed for healthiness and hardiness. So many people might be thinking, if your goal is to raise rabbits for meat, then why are you doing all these things that potentially inhibit your ability to have as many meat rabbits as possible, grow as fast as possible? So to many people, our method of raising rabbits could be confusing, but our motives become much more clear once I fully explain why we raise meat rabbits. We just don't want meat. Our eventual goal is to have a meat source that we can raise for free, so we don't have to buy any pellets or grain or hay. And while we're not completely there yet, we still have to buy hay. We are well on our way to having a free source of meat. And with that, the only free things we can provide are garden scraps and grass and forage that we can harvest off our land. So that easily explains why we feed the diet we do. We also want our meat source to be easy to maintain. I don't want to have to be doing an hour of rabbit chores every day. We also really like the benefits of having our rabbits living more naturally. Not only does it force us to selectively breed for hardy rabbits that do well together, but they also get all this exercise, and it's easy to increase or decrease the number of rabbits we house together. You don't have to buy more cages every time you want to keep another doe for breeding. Our eventual goal is to have an entire herd of healthy, hardy rabbits that not only can survive, but can thrive and breed, carry a pregnancy, and successfully give birth and have enough milk to raise kits on only our free natural diet. And then those kits will be healthy and hardy, and even if they do grow slowly, they will eventually grow to butcher weight. So basically we have free meat that only has to be paid for by physical labor. Not only will our dream rabbit meat be super healthy, it'll also be free, and the rabbits themselves will have been super easy to care for. But as many of you know from watching previous videos we've made, we are far from there in more ways than one. We're having possible issues with milk production with mamas on our diet. It could not be from the diet, it could be from the diet. And right now, because it's summer, we don't have litters, but it's kind of about to turn fall. Our buck is still going heat sterile every summer despite the opportunities we've given them to dig burrows to stay cool during the summer. They just haven't chosen to dig burrows yet, which is still super frustrating. I keep waiting for them to dig. I mean, the dirt is there. They just don't. And a side effect of this method is the frequency with which we have to cull breeders. And lately we've had a very low survival rate of kits. And then to add on top of that, the freak pastorella problem we had this spring that hasn't entirely gone away yet. But overall, I'm happy with how our rabbits are. Our breeders are all healthy. We don't have any kits because it's summer and our buck is heat sterile, so no breedings are happening. We are waiting for fall when things cool off and he can be fertile again. Hopefully when we have litters this fall, mamas will have good milk and at least be able to keep some kits alive. So while we're not getting much, if any, meat right now from our meat rabbits, they're not fulfilling their purpose at all at the moment, we are slowly but surely working towards our ultimate goal, and I'm willing to sacrifice meat now for meat from our ideal rabbits and to meet our eventual goal in the future. And of course, I would really like it if all my rabbits were just perfect from the get-go, and they did great on our diet and all that. But it isn't really super surprising to me that we're having problems, because my goal is very lofty, especially because we are starting out with rabbits who have been raised in cages, eating pellets, and they've been bred to do good in cages and on pellets for so long. So it's not very realistic to expect them to excel being in a colony eating no pellets, like in one generation. And many of our breeders are the first generation of living in a colony, but they still spent most of their lives eating pellets or grain. So I do expect to have to do a lot more selective breeding, especially because all of the more natural rabbit traits have been bred out of rabbits to live in a very unnatural environment and to eat a very unnatural diet. So getting those natural tendencies and instincts back into them is going to be a lot of work. But I am up for the challenge, and I think my goal is worth the effort it's going to take to get there. And this really is one big experiment. I don't really know of anyone who is trying the same thing we are, or who has successfully done this. I mean, I'm sure there might be people out there, but I don't really know about them, or they haven't, shared their success or how they did it or anything. So I'm kind of fumbling in the dark for how to make this work, and there's a slight possibility it won't work, and we'll have to resort to something else, or maybe I just stop meat rabbits altogether, because if I can't get to my eventual goal, then I might just decide to raise a different type of animal that can reach my goal of free, easy meat. But hopefully with more selective breeding and more time and a few more hard lessons learned, I'll be able to perfect my breeders, perfect my kits, and perfect my setup, and cut down drastically on the mistakes. And hopefully one day I will be making a success video sharing all the things about how well everything's doing, how I reached my goals, and how I did it. So not only will I be able to enjoy the benefits of my eventual dream, but I will be able to share it with all of you guys too. So that is why we raise meat rabbits. That's why I'm not really upset by all the problems and mistakes that are happening and just the freak bad things that are going on. Even though it is frustrating now, we're just breeding for hardier, better breeding stock and eventually butchering kits later. And that is the main reason why I am not changing my housing setup or my feeding regime, even though for right now it's not really working that well. And now all I'm doing is keeping our breeders alive and keeping them healthy by just feeding them and, giving them water every day. There's not really much going on with the rabbits, adding more bedding every few weeks. Just waiting for fall and babies, and then the huge roller coaster that is, we have a whole bunch of first time moms. We have one rabbit who still was raised in a cage, so she's kind of, not colony savvy or used to, being social with other rabbits. So we'll see how that goes. There will probably be a whole bunch of drama and weird things happening and bad things happening, good things happening this fall when babies start being born again. So look out for a whole bunch of videos all about rabbits and the crazy adventures we have then. So yeah, that is how I raise rabbits, why we're raising them the way we do, and how it's going so far, and how I hope it's going to go in the future. Thanks for watching.